All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
And I'm Lewis.
And thanks for being here, everybody who's in here live. Thank you, everybody who is watching the replay. And so, yes, if you missed it last week, we are now doing our live streams Wednesday at 7 or 8 Central Time. Hopefully next week we'll be on time at 7. So make sure you tune in, make sure you're subscribed, and press the bell so you definitely get notified when we go live. And so we've got a pretty interesting show today. We've got some things to talk about. We've got some updates on the Driptech DS from last week that we actually got them in on Friday. And so we've had some interesting experiences with those. We're going to talk about the study that just came out in regards to them scientists finding lead in vapor products. And of course, we're going to interact with you guys in chat. So make sure you drop your questions and whatever else. And yeah, so again, thank you so much for being here. Let's jump into, we're going to start with the Driptech, the DS. Now, we do have clones. For anybody who missed it last week, Louie and I both picked up Driptech DS clones because we, at that time, we couldn't find authentic ones. A lot of people have messaged me saying that it is possible to get them, but I couldn't find them at the time. Anyway, Louie here found some on 3F Vape or something. So Louis was like, hey, do you want one? And I was like, yeah, Louis, of course I want one. So Louis took a...
Just doing that to piss off my wife.
Yeah. So Louis sent me the link. I picked the black one. He picked the green one. We got them Friday. And Louis had some issues. I'm still using mine, but Louis had some serious issues with his.
Yeah, so at the time when we first built on this, it was running great. Nothing but good things to say. But that was after, what, 2 hours of using it?
Yeah, I've been using mine straight, so...
Yeah. So for mine, though, the button melted on it and got locked down in the firing position. We tried to stick this thing back together so it's jammed up right now. But the button started sticking up on it, and then it got stuck down, started firing. I ended up having to pull these out, have it stop firing. And then when I pulled up the top assembly to take a look at what was going on, why my button was sticking out so far, and why it was being so weird, I noticed that the bottom part of it melted, and the screw didn't go in all the way. And yeah, so that was pretty scary. I've actually never had a mod start auto-firing on me. And the way these are constructed, it's not like a regular tube mod where you just take it and then, oh no, it's starting to auto-fire and you just pull something off of it. This thing, you have to unscrew these things in order to get down, or in order to get the batteries to stop making contact. So that wasn't fun. That was not fun. I ended up running outside. Luckily I had a key on me, and luckily both of my batteries were pretty low, so it didn't really turn into anything catastrophic, luckily. But anybody who was throwing shade at us for not getting it in authentic,
Throwing shade.
well, you turned out to be right.
Well, not really. I kind of feel like, so there's two sides to that coin, right? Because mine's fine, and mine's still rocking. I haven't had any issues. I did have one auto fire when I tightened down one of the I don't know what the contacts, the negative contacts. It started auto firing on me, and it was a really simple fix. I just unscrewed it, and it was primarily my fault because I cranked it down. So Louis did have some issues, and obviously the quality is not going to be... Thought I just dripped it all over myself. The quality is not going to be anything near the authentic one. So really, so that's what happens when you go with clones, is sometimes you get a good one and other times you get a piece of shit. You don't know the material, you don't know what it's made of, you don't know the quality control process. So just, you know, it's at your own discretion, and if you feel like anything's wrong at all, just totally don't use it, return it, or just throw it out.
Right. Yeah, because for me, for $20, like, It was pretty sweet while it lasted, and yours is still going.
I'm
You said
loving
you're kind
mine.
of sketched out by yours, right?
A little bit, yeah. It's not. I just don't have the confidence in it that I would with an authentic, because it is a mechanical, it is unregulated, and there's no protection in it whatsoever. It is parallel, which is nice. That gives you a little bit added protection as far as where you build your resistance, but just with the internals and how cheap. So the material's cheap, you can tell, and then the machining is pretty shitty on it. So
It's the reason this thing's jammed right now.
yeah. We're gonna try to take his apart, Louis' apart, because we wanted to show you how the button melted and everything, but we can't get it. It's stuck. It's stuck. Louis was banging it on the table trying to get it back together after we took it apart the first time.
And that's probably why it's permanently stuck now and not just pretty stuck.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a video where we finally rip that apart and compare it to an authentic. We're gonna go grab an authentic here, probably next week.
Might be another reason we weren't able to find them is we kept on searching for Driptech when we should have been searching for Desire Designs.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so Desire Designs DS is the new authentic that's out right now, no longer made by 528 Customs. If you guys are interested in grabbing one, which I gotta say, I haven't tried out the authentics, but if it's just a quality improvement over this thing, I was loving it. You're still loving it. As long as the buttons don't melt on the authentics, I gotta say it's probably worth $$35
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid. Parallel. I love this fucking thing. This is the way squonking should be, in my opinion. You have two parallel dual 18650s. That's phenomenal in itself. And then you add a massive squonk bottle. It's a beast. And this one's the clone, and I'm loving this one. So I'm definitely getting an authentic one because I'll feel safer with that. As opposed to this guy, especially after it's stuck on me and auto fired. That kind of normally just kills it for me, but I really enjoy this. So yeah, the authentic's gonna kick ass, I hope.
Yeah, I mean the ease of installation on the squonk bottle is just excellent.
Oh, I know.
The pulse that you let me use for a while, it wasn't like a huge pain in the butt, but the way that thing thing's bottle, you'd have to stick that tube up inside, and you have to make sure you squeezed it right, so that way, you didn't get any juice spillage. It's not like a whole lot of added hassle, but it is enough.
It is. Yeah. They're a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So this is how the bottle comes out. Ugh.
Yeah, I kind of got a little jiggle.
And you fill it. It's a massive, massive bottle. You fill it up, and then you pop it back in, and then you just kind of screw in this little guy here.
That's it. Easy peasy.
A few turns. It really is simple. And this feeding mechanism, as opposed to having the tube, works just so much better in general. And it's just more efficient, less messy. I'm just a big fan of this kind of bottle and this feeding system. You don't have to worry about the big long tube. It's cleaner. It doesn't, when you fill a squonk bottle, the standard squonk bottles with the hoses, and you're like trying to tighten them, and because they're so soft and silicone, like they just start leaking and everything. Total pain in the ass. This is a nice firmer bottle, which means you're less likely to squeeze it on accident and sploosh your juice everywhere, and B, when you push it, because it's firmer, you get a more responsive feed, and it feeds quicker than a softer bottle. So I'm a huge fan of that. And when you retract it, it also vacuums. Like the vacuum is more, so it's quicker and more efficient.
Right.
Big fan.
Right. And if you like big juicy hits of vapor like I do, like the way that this thing is laid out, so that way your thumb is hitting it here and you're squonking with this finger here. Like it's just, I can kind of hold it down a little bit.
It is very comfortable.
I can crank that down and just take a big hit, and then I can just let go of everything all at once essentially, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, I actually even end up, as I'm hitting it, like I push the bottle in at the same time, so it's like continuously firing and refilling. I can't say enough good things about this design. This design is phenomenal. So with quality materials, quality workmanship, this is a home run. And if you can't afford the authentic, I mean,
proceed with caution.
Yeah, it's like I'm cautious to. I'm a little hesitant hesitant to recommend this clone variant, but I don't know. I've had a good experience with it. Louis hasn't, so take that for what it's worth.
When it was working, it was great.
Yeah. So I've been rocking this since Friday. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wish that somebody else besides 3F made a clone.
They probably do.
Yeah. Well, I have to dig. Well, actually, I don't want to get another clone.
Yeah, just wait.
Authentic. But if there's another clone besides 3F,
maybe try that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fast Tech actually has some decent products. Like, more often than not, you're going to get a better product from them. At least that's what I hear.
Yeah, I didn't see it on Fast Tech's website, but...
Oh, so maybe they don't.
Who knows, yeah.
All right. I've been rocking this since Friday. All weekend, all week. And Louis brought in a big box of his vaping stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was just going through it before the live stream. And he has the Alien, the Smock Alien. And it's seen better days. Yeah. But this was in the box. And I think it's the Baby Beast.
Whatever one
Sub
comes
Ohm.
with it,
Yeah. And I've never tried one, actually, so he's going to let me rock this. So I'm going to set this up real quick. And
are you going to rock it on the RX 200 too? Yeah, this is an old RX 200.
I love these boxes.
Yeah, it's probably a couple years old at this point, but I mean,
it is.
These things are bricks, man. They hold up forever.
Yeah, these are one, like, oh man, I wish I had mine. Mine looks like it got run over by a car twice. I dropped that thing so many times, it's all scuffed. This one's practically brand new.
Yeah, that one's literally never been used. We got it for pictures and then didn't ever actually use it.
I have some HG2 or GH2s in here.
Yeah. I mean, the only other device, my IPv3Li is still running to this day, and I bought that 3 years ago at this point.
Oh, I can't get that coil out.
Oh, you want to use the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4-barrel. Yeah, he wants to use this guy.
Well, this one that's installed is a 0.4, 40 to 80 watt, best between 55 and 65, which is not my vaping style. And this one you can see if it'll focus. I fucking hate autofocus. There you go. It has just the single coil in there.
All right, this one's 0.15 ohms at 50 to 110 watts.
Yeah, and you can see it's got the 4 individual coils. So standard smock. Can you get that out? Use one of the tools or something. And so again, I'm gonna do it on the RX. I freaking love these mods. I think they did such a great job with these. And then the 2.3, I ended up picking up a Wismec Rouleau 2.3 at one point a little while ago. I actually won it at a comp or something. And I got maybe 2 weeks out of it before it stopped working. So I was very disappointed. Me too. I like the ergonomics of the 2 battery.
Yep. Me too. Can I just tell you again how much I hate your kit?
What?
This thing?
Yeah.
I can't get anything out of it.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, isn't it? Can I have the base? Yeah. All right, so for any new vapors out there, for you experienced guys, obviously you don't really have to pay any attention to this, but I'm going to show you how to set up a Sub Ohm coil. I'm just going to attach it into the barrel. I'm using some Vapetasia, Killer Custard. Love this juice. And I'm going to hit each side here with some juice. If you just like give this a dab or just fill the tank and then try ripping it, you're going to burn the shit out of these coils. You want to make...
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Well,
sorry about that, guys. We lost one of the cameras. So you just want to make sure that you saturate your coils really well before you try to vape on it. Regardless of what Sub Ohm tank you're using, what kind of coil it is, what resistance... You want to do this every time with every coil head. Let it get nice and soaked up into that coil so you don't burn them. I mean, these Sub Ohm coils can get really expensive. And so it's a shame to burn it out before you can actually vape it.
Right. Yeah, one of my things, like the convenience factor of buying these pre-made coils is undeniable.
Yeah.
So much better just to be able to throw another coil, but it is kind of rough biting down on that expense. Which is why I actually want to start using some of your mouth-to-lung tanks that are rebuildables.
The mouth-to-lung ones?
Yeah.
Why those specifically?
Because I can throw it on devices that I already have, and I can rebuild it as opposed to buying new coils for it.
As opposed to an RDA or an RTA or RDTA?
Right. Uh-huh.
Gotcha.
I still want to get like a Mi Pod and a D19 and stuff, but I think just kind of for everyday use, I'm never going to be without Kanthal and cotton, you know? But I do run out of coils consistently.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like a good mouth-to-lung tank for sure.
A little bit bulkier, so you kind of miss out on some of those positives, but at the same time, it's just nice.
It is, and you get a more reliable, heavier hit, which I know you're a fan of. That was a really quick break-in time.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that. And the flavor, all right, so I actually like this. The flavor is pretty good on this. Smock is a very divisive company. Either people absolutely love them or they absolutely hate them. If you're somebody who really hates Smock products, tell me why. I never really understand why. I've never heard why people hate them. So leave that in the comments. Let me know what it is about Smock products you don't like. I have heard there are some reliability issues sometimes.
Yeah, my Alien, I mean, took a shit pretty quick, honestly.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
It looks like it was 15 years old. That's your fault.
No, it's not my fault. Okay, wait, so...
This thing looks like it was through World War II.
I've had devices where they start, like, looking way worse than that before they start going bad. That one I dropped one time, and the metal piece came out of it, which is okay, it still functioned, but it's certain RDAs and certain tanks it won't read. So I have to, like...
Right, the pin gets... Yeah. All right, so my RX is like that. My old one.
It just kind of depends on what tank you're
After a while, when it leaks and sugary stickiness gets in there and the heat, you know, going through the pin, it just... Or the spring itself just starts breaking down. That's always the first thing
that I check with... Anytime it doesn't read something, I always like, okay, let me get a paper towel, let me clean up the 510. Still doesn't do it with my drop. It will not read my drop.
It's not only that, it's like it's supposed to be a spring loaded it'll meet the height of whatever pin you're using, especially with the Sub Ohm tank because they're fixed pins and they're normally very close to the actual thread.
Right.
So when that spring starts giving away and it gets stuck and gunky, it doesn't spring like it used to. So it won't make that contact, so it won't read. And that's the exact problem my rouleau has, but is because after, you know, so long. So if you're leaking a lot of juice and getting juice down in there and things stop working, that's your fault. You need to keep it clean and leak free as much as possible. I mean, shit leaks, so you can't always do something about that.
Right. Is there any way to like fix that if your 510 stops being springy?
If you're tech savvy, you could probably get in there. You might be able to replace the pin or the spring depending on what device it is. If it's not the spring, like if it's just gunk and shit, dirt and grime getting stuck in there, you can absolutely take that apart and get at that, clean it up, and it'll work. But if the spring is shot, then you'd have to replace the spring. And it kind of probably depends on the mod. I haven't tried to do that with a lot of mods, so I don't really know. A lot of these are really fucking hard to get apart. And like the Rouleau, the 2.3, I tried taking that apart to figure out what was going on with that. And I could only get so far before I gave up.
Right. We ain't no DJ LSB vape here.
Yeah, we're not Danny. So
yeah,
I don't know what's going on with this one. It's really hard to get open. It's like,
it's like time to bend it.
Time to bend it.
Yeah. And maybe the batteries are just too strong.
The batteries are too strong.
The magnets are too strong.
It's a little better. I actually like this color combination. When I got mine, they didn't have all the color options yet. You had stickers, like skins you can put on them that were pretty cool.
Yeah, there's still websites that sell those. I just wrapped my old Cup D with a nice American flag.
It looks really cool.
It looks nice.
Yeah, it looks
that thing
really
was starting
cool.
to get beat up, so I'm glad I found that.
Yeah. Rob, a guy in the comments, our buddy Robbie, he said that you can replace the whole 510 assembly, which is absolutely true if you know how to solder, which really isn't difficult.
It's actually funny. We have a whole, like, basket of 510 assemblies for
Do
some
you really?
reason. Yeah, that's back over there sitting on the
We
counter.
can fix your alien.
Yeah, might want to do that. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, in comments, we have Mr. Nick Wiggins. He says that his Pro Color misread the resistance on his coils at 0.79, and the coils were 0.18.
That's quite the discrepancy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Huh. Were you getting that number from an ohm reader and then the device was reading it that way?
Probably. Or he knew what the coils are.
Right, right.
Everyone bought my... Stop working. Okay, so yeah, people definitely have issues with smoke products. Doesn't matter. We had a super chat donation by Will Boyles. Will, thank you so much for doing that. That is very generous and kind of you. Please don't do it again. Please don't. I really, really, really appreciate it. But give it to Kasa or something else. Please don't give it to me. But again, I really appreciate it. Please don't be offended by that. But we are not monetizing this channel at all.
Mm-hmm.
So okay.
We're trying not to.
Yeah. No, we're just not. Hates tobacco. No atomizer. Yeah. Somebody said the RX 200 doesn't like an atomizer because it won't make a connection. Mm-hmm. And again, that comes down to the spring, and some RXs just have a lower spring, 510. So that absolutely can be an issue. All right, let's transition now into this study. And I'm sure most of you by now have heard of this study. And do you have it up again?
I probably have it somewhere on my phone.
All right, normally I don't do this, but I'm going to find this this study because I want to really talk about a few different aspects of it.
Yeah. So like generally Johns Hopkins University and Bloomberg Foundation or something. Man, I'm not going to do a very good job of this.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it anyway because you're on your phone.
Okay, so this study was published in a legitimate place, the Environmental Health Perspective Journal, which isn't some, shady, sketchy kind of like bullshit scientific journal. Mm-hmm. And it was done by researchers at Johns Hopkins University, which is a top tier university and medical research college. So not quacks or anything like that. There's validity in these people. Now, that being said, all right, so the basis of the study says that there were amounts...
It was significant amounts of lead, chromium, nickel, and one other toxic heavy metal that was found in the actual vapor. Well, they didn't actually test the vapor. They got the vapor like droplet residue that formed on the inside of these tubes after somebody would take a hit, and then they swabbed those and then measured the chemicals in those. One of the things that they did not say was if there was any consistency among the actual vape products that were measured. They just grabbed vapors and whatever product that they were using, RDA, RTA, rebuildables, pre-mades, all that stuff, all measured the same way. And they just took accumulation of the results and found that some had high levels of lead, some had high levels of chromium and nickel, which we know why. And a lot of these they're saying that they were higher levels than the FDA or the EPA say is okay for inhalation.
So here are some of my issues. Being that this is a legitimate study published in a legitimate place and generally acknowledged as a legitimate study by the masses, my fear here is that people are just going to cling to this and say, see, e-cigarettes are dangerous and they're really bad for you. But I feel like it provides more questions than it does answers. And some of my concerns here and some of the things that really kind of frustrate me are, where were these atomizers made? Were they authentics? Were they clones? What kind of metals were they made out of? Did they have, were they shitty clones made God knows where with, you know, pot metal? And what kind of wire were they using? Where did the wire come from? Was it a shitty, cheap ass, you know, China coil, or were they legitimate stainless steel, or any other legitimate kind of wire? And where was the juice from? Are they making it in their house out of a lead bowl? Like, there's just so many variables that can come into play with something like this, and the actual paper does not specify any kind of
there wasn't any kind of control group aspect to it,
right?
Like that's kind of one of my takeaways when I read it. First, I was like, okay, this is kind of alarming. One is like, I don't understand where the lead is coming from. The chromium and nickel make sense to me because we use chromium and nickel in our coils, right?
Nichrome.
Right,
that's
exactly.
Nichrome.
But with the lead, I was concerned. But then I was thinking, okay, well then, okay, what are these devices? What do I need to be actually being cautious of?
Right.
Well, they don't say.
Right.
They didn't look at that. They didn't publish what the devices were, what the coils were.
Right.
And so at this point, I'm concerned because I don't want to be vaping lead.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like it's a bit inauthentic, or it's not.
So here's the thing too, right? When somebody outside of the vaping industry looks at this and they say, "Oh wow, look at that big control group that they used."
56 people.
Yeah, 56 people. And you guys know as well as we do that if you just picked a vapor up off the street, that vape that they're using could be a million different setups. It could be one of thousands different mods and tens of thousands of atomizers. And so there's really no strict control variables on this study. And it was such a small control group. But because, again, of the seeming legitimacy of this study, people are just going to use it as, you know, fact. And in reality, it's really, the study doesn't give credence to the fact that there's lead in vapor products.
All it says to me is that more studies need to be done.
100%.
Yeah.
And, all right, so if there is lead in vapor products, I fucking want to know. Mm-hmm. If e-cigarettes aren't as safe as we thought they are, I definitely want to know. So if this is true, just because it's not in line with my opinions, doesn't mean that I'm going to just dismiss it just because it's not what I wanted to hear. I want to know if there's validity in this, and I really hope that they follow it up and that it's peer-reviewed. Mm-hmm. Has it been peer-reviewed?
I assume so based on the journal it was published in.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't actually know that for sure, though. Yeah, because I want to know, like, are certain manufacturers of Kanthal actually adding in lead into those? Are there certain manufacturers of tanks? Are there certain RDAs that aren't actually up to the purity standards that they say that they are?
Is it made on the same equipment that makes or smells or whatever lead?
Right. Like, I don't want, like, another diacetyl spook. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, I kind of would like to know, like, manufacturers that are reputable. And if it does kind of create a little bit more stringency on a self-governing side, if manufacturers are like, hey, here are our test results for the metals that are being used in these RDAs. I don't know.
China won't follow suit, though. China's
going to
be like, I'll do whatever the fuck.
If they're going to be honest about it.
Right.
Yeah. They will say they do.
Yeah.
But then there'll also be people that will test them out themselves. I mean, I don't know. Like, like I said, I really hate, like, demanding more of this because we know what happened after the diacetyl thing. People chilled out on it, realized it wasn't actually as big of a deal as everybody said.
It's a non-issue.
Right, it's a non-issue. But I also don't want to be vaping lead. So I'd like to see some follow-up studies, and then if there is something that's concerning, then that's probably where I'd like to see things go.
Yeah, I mean, I want to know what's causing the lead, because I don't want to use whatever it is that's causing the lead. So it could be a million different things, and I would just like to know more about it for sure.
Right.
Like 100%. And if these studies lead to stricter regulation as far as safety procedures or what materials can and can't be used in manufacturing devices or wire or whatever, I'm all for it. I kind of hope that happens.
Well, I want there to be the same thing that happened with the diacetyl scare, even though that turned out to be essentially nothing. I liked how there was a real response from e-juice manufacturers to actually take some action towards it, you know, as opposed to actually having government regulation saying 0 diacetyl can be in each one of these.
Yeah, but see, there's like a big fear aspect there, and I love, you call it diacetyl, whatever you see, whatever you say. I love it. Give me more of it.
Yeah,
I want
vape pure diacetyl juice,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, I like butter so much that I vape diacetyl. I want more of it. So I don't like the fact that because one bullshit study kind of caught fire, went viral, and everybody's like, oh, well, I'm gonna get popcorn lung. To this day, I get non-vapors be like, oh, well, doesn't that give you popcorn lung? And so, like, that's not just like that little issue of diacetyl. Like, that had long-lasting repercussions that are still prevalent to this day.
Right.
And so that's another concern I have with this study, again, because the shitty focus group and the lack of tight, you know, it was non-controlled, essentially. And I don't want this to be another catalyst for non-vapors and doctors and uneducated people to be like, no, vaping's dangerous.
Right.
Because then people are going to be like, oh, well, fuck, I might as well just keep smoking.
Right.
And there is enough evidence that says vaping is healthier, safer than cigarettes. It's harm reduction. And this kind of nonsense, I feel, just kind of takes the whole industry a few steps back.
Right, right. Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of funny, like, looking at other medical studies when they talk about health and nutrition, things like that. The same things happen with these same news organizations. Fat's now good. Fat's bad. Carbs gonna kill you. Gluten's gonna kill you. And people take one study when really all these studies say is more needs to be done. More needs to be studied. We need to do more studies. And they take it as gospel and they run with it, and then people change their entire lifestyles around it.
A lot of that sensationalism, they're chasing that headline for more funding.
Right, right. Well, yeah, it's mostly news organizations that take them and run with them. I mean, the studies, you do get irresponsible studies where they actually make a broad claim based on a small group. Yeah. But generally, I blame the news.
Fake news.
Fake news, bro.
Fake news.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm concerned about studies like this, and I think every vapor who's involved in the industry and passionate about it, like we are, kind of have a responsibility to not just spread opinion as facts, but be educated. Educate yourselves on legitimate studies, legitimate information, factual information, and help educate people who are either misinformed or uneducated. It can be really tough trying to educate somebody who's pretty stuck on opinion as fact, but, you know, we do what we can.
All right.
Also, if you know anything about this or you have opinions on this, I want to know. We want to know your opinion, so leave it in the comments. If you're watching the replay, leave it in chat if you're watching now.
All right. Anton asks, are there any industry standards for mods or juice? So specifically working in the e-juice industry, yes, there are. They are self-imposed at the moment. We have signed off, Hometown Hero has signed off on good manufacturing practices that we are implementing and have implemented 99% of at this moment.
And they're submitted to
the FDA at this point. So we're going to try to get those actually put into law. At the moment, there are the best thing that you can do is find a trusted e-juice company that either goes through a good co-packer or is just a trusted company that talks about their manufacturing procedures and practices. Those are really the only things right now. As far as mods go, I think that those probably are best practices, you know, making sure that things are made out of clean metals. But as far as what is actually being done, a lot of the stuff is being made in China.
There's no way to regulate that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's absolutely no way. And there are really great companies and factories in China, but there are really shitty, shady ones as well. And there are trusted brands for sure, and you can just tell by the product that it's quality and well built. But at the same time, unless you're testing it, and I don't even know how you would, I guess you could test the metals and stuff, but it's up to the consumers, really. It's almost a consumer regulated kind of issue, because if you're putting out a shitty product with, you know, I don't know, it doesn't perform well or whatever, the consumers aren't going to buy that product. So it's like kind of like free market capitalism kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely the Wild West right now.
Yeah.
And it's all based on reputation. So like you go to Digiflavor, you know Digiflavor is always going to make a certain type of product, or Hell Vape's always going to make a certain type of product, or whatever else. That's kind of the best we have at the moment. As the industry matures more, we're going to start seeing more like regulation and better standards coming out.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's
moderation.
Weird. Right, exactly. And that's like kind of one of the interesting things about this industry. Like, there's a lot of things to love. I think the reason that we've seen e-cigarettes go from these little crappy cartomizers that didn't work half the time to these insane devices that put out 240 watts with 2 batteries and insane. I mean, it's just crazy thinking about how far this industry's come in such a short period of time. And that's kind of partially due to the fact that it was Wild West and it was kind of every man for himself, you know? Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting seeing how things evolve. Like any industry, things are going to start becoming more regulated. Things are going to start becoming more consolidated. There's going to be less little guys around, which, you know, I guess good and bad at the same time. You know, less little guys are going to be able to pull themselves up and do something, but at the same time, it's going to be that, you know, the people that are around are there for a reason, and they're going to be producing good products and with good quality, stuff like that.
Regulations are a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You have two very different sides of it. One, it's great for consumer protection as far as, you know, safety, like saying, oh yeah, you can use these different ingredients, and having safe operating procedures and
cleanliness standards.
Yeah, things like that. But then, especially with the political climate and the climate of the industry, as far as like the negative regulation, like taxing the shit out of it, that stuff is doing more harm than good, in my opinion. I believe, my opinion is that vaping is a life-saving alternative to cigarettes. So when any kind of government body or agency puts an impediment in front of somebody trying to make a healthier, better choice, that's when regulation becomes a deterrent and really fucks over the consumer. And so it's like, you know, it's a balancing act. We're all for smart, sensible regulation. In fact, I encourage it. And as far as the consumer protection aspect of it, but that nonsense, you know, flavor bans and 95% tax hikes on it, it's insane.
Right. And then with this industry, it's all about like, well, we need to find out if it's safe. We need to do the long-term studies. Well, where the hell was that with cigarettes, right?
Yeah, well, I think that kind of set that, like, everybody's scared because that happened with cigarettes.
That's a good point.
And then it's like, okay, so you don't know. Oh, they might be dangerous, so we need to make them illegal because they might be dangerous. Well, they might be a life-saving alternative. So, like, and all right, land of the free, right? God forbid you let adults make their own decisions. Right. I don't know. I don't even want to get into like political stuff, but yeah, it is what it is. We're just gonna have to see. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to make your voice heard. Your local representatives, you need to be reaching out and contacting them and letting them know where you stand on these issues, because you hear it like, oh yeah, they work for you, and I know sometimes it definitely doesn't feel like it, but if they have enough people calling, if they have a shitload of their constituents calling and saying we're pro-vapor, and they see that, especially right now in an election season, 2018 election season, the midterms are coming, we can start getting our representatives to vote the way we want them to. So it's up to each and every one of us to take the 5 minutes and either write an email. You can get them all over the place. They're already pre-filled out. You just put in your name and address and it sends it to the appropriate. Just like spend the 5 minutes to make your voice heard.
And get that warm sense of satisfaction from doing something good too.
Yeah. And if you don't, you know, fuck you. Seriously.
I mean, like, look.
You lazy honesty, piece of shit. Like
9 out of 10 of the people watching right now are not going to.
Yeah, so fuck 9 out of 10 of you, for real. If you're offended, unsubscribe. Take the 10. I mean, you fucking love the, oh, I love vaping, I love the industry, but I'm not going to take 30 seconds to do what I need to do to help save it. Fuckers. Oh yeah, I learned how to build coils 2 months ago, so I'm starting a coil business, but I still haven't called my representatives. Go fuck yourself. Take the 5 minutes and do it. And Louie's right. You're going to feel better for doing it. Yeah. And you can stop lying about actually doing it and do it.
Right. And you don't have to be a liar all the time either, you know? That's a positive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But all right. So for real though, like please do it. I have some links in the description of this video about where you can get involved. So please do it. It's so simple. There's really no excuse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what else we got?
We did the Driptech. We did this tank.
Yep.
We talked about that study. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess just bullshitting from here. We'll take, oh, what's up, Danny? What's going on, buddy? Let's give me a minute here in the comments. I'm going to see what's going on. If you guys have any questions, now's a good time to drop them in because I'm paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we answered that one there.
Okay, Corey brought up a nice statistic about the popcorn lung that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. I can't fact check these exact numbers, but I know they're relatively close.
And if you guys trust Corey, then listen up.
Don't fucking listen. I don't know about the numbers, but he says a very few people in history have actually gotten popcorn lung, and those who did, and this is true, the people who have actually gotten popcorn lung worked in a legitimate popcorn factory where they were exposed to massive amounts of diacetyl, 40 to 60 hours a week for years, like years and years and decades. And those are the people who actually got popcorn lung, not any vapors. There's no documented case of vapor getting popcorn lung.
Right.
What's going on, JFM Development? JFM Development says bathtub e-juice is no good, especially with the side of pubes. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Definitely right about that one.
Okay, Corey has a good question. How do I feel about vaping in public? I work in a factory and you can dip but can't vape. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, one of my lines I always say, like, vaping always seems much more intrusive than it actually is, as opposed to cigarettes, which always look less intrusive than they actually are. When I am in the line now, oh, you're talking about the V-Stealth. Yeah. When I am in line for a concert, I feel way more self-conscious about vaping than I ever did when I was a smoker. I would light up anywhere as a smoker. Now I vape in public very little.
I always liked smoking.
Look, that's the reason we're vaping right now.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
I was completely okay with the fact that I was going to smoke cigarettes for the rest of my life.
Yeah. After seeing my wife's mom die of lung cancer, oof, that was when we went from like kind of dabbling in vaping and smoking to
vaping.
Like we're vaping. Yeah.
Back to from that happy note. Vaping in public. That's why. Yeah, we talked, somebody asked if we touched on a study, metal particles in vapor, and yeah, that we talked about that in length. But all right, so vaping in public, I'm not a huge fan of like full-blown clouds vaping in public, because if you ever pay attention, like especially on a breezy day or just any day really, when you blow out that monster cloud, if you just watch its path, like it cruises, and it stays dense, and there's quite a bit of volume there. And if you're in anywhere relatively crowded, not even crowded, but if there's just people around, they're going to be walking through that. And not everybody is neurotic like me, but when I see a big cloud of vapor, I see lung particles. Like, that was in somebody's body, and that just fucking, I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, I struggle at cloud comps and ECC, just breathing in everybody's lung juice. But, so, yeah. I mean, it's just, in my opinion, blown massive clouds with no regard of who's going to have to walk through it or how it makes other people feel is pretty shitty. And this is my personal opinion. It doesn't mean I don't, you know, if you choose to vape in crowded public places, I don't agree with that, but, you know, to each his own. I personally don't like it. I think it's disrespectful and pretty ignorant.
Right.
So that's why I'm such a big fan of things like the drop and everything else. I don't vape in public. Like, I vape in public, but not if anybody's around. If anybody's within my proximity where they would come in contact with my cloud, I don't do it. I usually carry things like this, or the Mi Pod, or the MyJet, Jules. I have all access to all those, so I just kind of rotate them. But I bring things like this. And this, I think we've touched on this before, but this is called the V-Stealth. We met the owners and manufacturers of this company at ECC, and I didn't know how to feel about it at first, but it's pretty freaking cool. Let me show you. Yeah, so to compare that to a full-blown hit, this thing's pretty sweet. Now, there is this aspect of, you know, it's a trade-off because, yeah, it takes away like 99% of the cloud, but all that vapor, and it's water vapor, right? So it's dense and moist. It's got to go somewhere, and there's like a filter inside of this little chapstick thing, and so that condenses down to a liquid. So it does get a little wet.
Yeah, it drips out sometimes depending on how much vapor you're blowing through
Yeah.
it. But generally it's really nice. I actually just moved into a new apartment, and I am going to bring this thing home because my fire detectors are not those fancy ones. So I'm going to be using this thing. So hopefully you don't set up my fire alarms. I don't know if you guys do that. Maybe I'm the only person who's spooked by that.
Yeah, you're a lunatic. You set off one fire alarm with a vape, and
well, I also used to set them off in my old apartment all the time too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, you know, chuck way more clouds than you or something, bro.
Yeah, bro.
It's the reason we really vape. Let's be honest here.
Clouds, bro.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, we talked to these people. We're still in contact with them. We're getting these up on the website.
We're gonna carry them soon, right?
Yeah.
I think we really should. I love this product.
Yeah, so do I. And we're gonna make a video all about.
Yeah, I'll make a video on this for sure, because I love anything that's going to help shine a positive light on the industry. So if people are going to be considerate and use this as opposed to blowing hurricanes in people's faces,
right,
I'm all about it.
And that's what they said when we first talked to them too. They're like, we care about the perception of it as much as we actually care about vaping itself. And they wanted to be able to provide this for the people that vape and enjoy vaping and want to keep vaping. So I'm all about it. I love the people, love the product.
Yeah, they're so nice.
Yeah, they were super nice.
And the price is right for sure.
Yeah.
I think they're around $5 to $6. I don't know for sure yet. But yeah, I'm a huge fan, and I'm going to continue to promote this because I believe in it.
Right. And so far, I mean, I've used this thing, not all the time, but I use it fairly decently a lot, and it still works just fine.
It'll last forever.
Yeah, one of the owners was saying he knew somebody that was using it for 6 months, and he's like, yeah, to my chagrin, he hasn't changed it out in 6 months, but it's still working.
Yeah.
So that's a positive too. You know, maybe buy a couple of these, give it to one of your friends.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah, right.
Give it to all the douchebags in your life.
Yeah. And yeah, and then enjoy it for 6 months if it continues to work for you that long. Hopefully it does.
I think it will.
Yeah,
There's nothing to break in it.
Right. It's literally just a filter, and maybe if it starts getting like a little gross.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, no, because so one of my biggest concerns about it was that it was going to get like moldy or something or mildewy, but it hasn't at all.
Maybe the other thing is just like leave the cap off to let it air dry.
Not even. I just think the bore is so big, and whatever crazy proprietary filter is in there, it just dries so quickly. I mean, that's even with it closed. There's a ton of. I tried.
It's not good enough. All right.
No. And we lost our macro. Oh well, I mean, you can kind of see there's a little filter down in there. It's not the best view, I know, but you can kind of see. But yeah, I mean, I think because it's the exact size of a chapstick is what it is, and even with the cap on, I think there's enough air in there that it gets dried out pretty quickly. Because it does, like if you're vaping on, you're vaping hard and blowing it all through here to get rid of it. It does accumulate quite a bit. But what I do after I've used it a few times and it's getting damp, I kind of just do one of these. And it pretty much dries up. It's activated charcoal. You think so?
Yeah.
That's a pretty confident statement there, buddy.
Yeah.
What's going on, Bobby Wayne? Thanks for joining. Do some shout outs. We got Steep TV. What's going on, man? Saturation Station. What's going on, buddy?
Just Fifi. What's up, man?
Micah. What's up, buddy? How are you? You're killing it on Instagram, dude. Your pictures are fire. Kevin Eberhard. Rick loves bacon. Rick, yeah, I think we are. I think we're going to carry it. Yeah, Saturation Station said he doesn't like people blowing vapor at him. I don't either. Even if it's like my wife, if she's like, sometimes it happens. You're not paying attention. You just blow a cloud and somebody's there. Being on the receiving end of that's not cool. What's going on, David Hinton? Mike Delgado. Delgado. Sorry, buddy. Will Boyles, Alan Santos. Kevin, Rick loves bacon. Fire Dog 911. Mark Spivey. And Anton Limbach. I'm terrible with names like this.
Yeah, so am I. I'll just let you do all
Kyla Pavlinch. What's going on? And a lot of familiar names and faces in here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah. And again, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching the replay. How long
Saturation Station doing our job for us. Hit that like button.
Yeah, that's about an hour. All right, guys. I think we're going to start wrapping up.
Yeah?
Yeah. Make sure that you I don't know. I'm running out of synonyms, man. If you have a synonym for push, press, caress, kick, tickle, give it to me. Because I'm running out of things to say. So hit that like button. Just don't smash it. Make sure you're subscribed. And guys, for real, make sure you press the bell next to the subscribe button. That'll make sure that you get notified when we go live and post stuff. So if you want to get notified, you want to get those notifications, click that bell. That whitelists us. That tells YouTube that you want our notifications. And again, we covered a lot of different topics, and I'm really, really curious as to your opinions on the different topics that we covered. So let me know what you think about that study, about vaping in public, about smock products, anything that we talked about. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Or if you have any topics you want us to discuss in future live streams, please leave them in the comments and in the chat.
Yeah. I'd love to see some. Again, our new live stream schedule is going to be Wednesdays at 7-ish Central Time, so that's 8 o'clock Eastern. And what else? Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for making it all the way through to the end. You guys are the best. You're my favorites. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.